Well, hello and welcome people on the internet to Broventure the Wild Co-op. This is a resource gathering bullet heaven that you can play either by yourself or with friends, as you can see right here. The game is in a very early playtest. This is the first playtest that is actually entered on Steam. So as far as features go, you know, we're not really going to expect a whole lot here. As you can see, it says I'm 23% through the game and I've done very few runs. It is in 2.5D, which we'll talk about a little bit. It has its pros and cons. I actually like the style of this game. However, this kind of not isometric, but at an angle glance for these games can kind of hurt it in some aspects. So again, it is an early playtest. Keep that in mind. If you want to check it out for yourself, link of course will be down below in the description. But let's get talking about the game. And before we do, if you do like the video, would you kindly smash that like button and consider subscribing if you haven't already for more roguelite action. Now, it is a resource gathering game. So what are we going to be using those resources for? There are a couple things. First of all, we can buy these houses, which are basically just characters, right? They make houses so that way we build up this area. I'm assuming there's going to be more buildings than just for characters in the future, but for now they do just unlock characters. There's a couple other things here in the back. There is a trading stump, which we can exchange resources for other resources. So there are trees and stones, which we'll be able to mine. Obsidian, I believe, just comes from monsters. And I guess this is just bigger obsidian. We have a blacksmith shop or a forge back here, which we can get a bunch of different armor sets, and all the armor sets are going to do something different. So for example, one of the first things you need to do is create just one piece of wooden armor, and then of course we have the put on an entire set of armor. I don't have that yet just because it costs a lot of wood. So if you look at resources here, 140, you'll see after the first run, and you can get an idea of how expensive or inexpensive these things are based on, you know, how many resources they're taking. But for example, right now I have extra experience, a little bit of regen, max health. These I put on mostly just because I had extra resources to spend. I was going and actually buying the wooden pieces to do the wooden quest. These are the pieces I have, and then I just filled these in. I actually bought the metal helmet, I think, after this one. I don't remember. I have these on. But anyway, yeah, that's how the forge works. Equipment rack, so I guess if you wanted to I guess this is just where you swap equipment. And you can see all your stats there. Got a bunch of different characters, so obviously the character that you're playing right now, I mean, you can swap into, but it's not going to do anything. All the different characters are going to have, you know, different stats. They're going to have different weapons. You can either change them there, or you can come over here to, nope, not there, over here to the library, which you can see over here all the different characters. So you can see their stats, they can see their weapons. We're going to be starting here with the owl. I think the owl is my favorite character that I've played so far. Character balance we're going to talk about a bit later at some point. And then there's training. So this is kind of your standard meta progression that you use these little droplets for, which I'm actually going to pop in right now. Let's go for attack. Okay, I guess just all attack speed. Don't tell me to hold like that if you're just going to spam through them. But that's fine. We'll take the attack speed. All right, so let's go ahead and go on a journey here. We're going to go to our first area. It shows what different enemies there are, different resources. So this is kind of like what I said. I'm assuming there's going to be other things that we can build in the future, and you're going to have to go to different areas in order to get different resources to actually collect what you need. The amount of resources, power of enemies, and there's probably going to be other difficulties or even different gaming types. So let's go ahead and jump in, go on a journey. And yeah, let's see what's going on. So it is, like I said, it is a bullet heaven. So we're going to start with our main attack here, our hammer attack, and we got a bunch of different resources on the map. So we can see we got some stone here that we can collect, and we also got to dodge the enemies. So we'll get to chop a little bit of tree down until we got to dodge. We'll level up. That's what all the little gray droplets are for. Let's see, what do we want here? There's no mouse control in this game, so don't even try. Crit chance, health regen, duration of abilities. I'm going to go with crit chance. Damage is very important, as it is in every game, but in this one specifically, and again, we'll kind of talk about how that leads into some of the problems with some of the characters later on. Yeah, so the hammer I kind of found is one of my favorite weapons to use, mostly just because it deals damage all around you, and you can kind of control it. Mine, we are not going to go with the mine. Or actually, are we going to go with the mine? I think I am going to go with the mine, actually. Attack speed is real good. But this leaves damage behind us, which is something that we're really going to be looking for because enemies are going to clump up real badly at some point. Probably. If the game goes how it kind of has played for me in the past. Let's get all these rocks. So you can see at the top there is a timer. So I believe we're going for 20 minutes if I'm not mistaken. We got 3 different elites to fight and the boss. Fire orbital blades, let's see, a sword, blades circling around the character and doing fire damage. Yeah, see, I wish, let's see, so if we open up, hang on, X, why is X, there we go. I don't think this is what I want though. Oh yeah, here we go. Okay, so I'm looking at the different stats here. So if you, or the different tags, right? So we have area. And it's not physical, it's not hit or heavy, which is kind of bad. But I think I'm still going to take the fire orbital blades. So I have 2 physical types. This would be 3 area types. Because we are going to find different abilities, for example, things that have like duration. We're going to find things that affect area. And so I want things that are going to be synergistic with each other, obviously, so that way we can get more benefit out of the different abilities we pick up. Chest has been spawned. Okay, so this is one of the reasons that I don't really like this this angle of viewing, right? So in order to open chests, you have to go find the button. Once you find the button, you have a timer and you got to open up the chest. Okay, I'm just going to force my way in here to unlock it, which we did unlock it, or we didn't. Did we not unlock it? I'm pretty sure we unlocked that. Let's go ahead and change one of these. So I'm going to change the electrical ray. I'm not exactly sure. Oh, no. I don't have any dice. I don't have any, or don't have any tokens. So we'll take the uncommon. I think the like button to actually activate this, it's not necessarily broken, but you kind of have to spam it in order to open it. I mean, I've already hit this like 10 different times. I'm going to take the fire golem here. And it finally opens, so I think there might be something a little bit wrong with the chests because they don't open immediately. Duration of abilities, it technically is saying I can do it with everything that I have here. I don't know how that would work, though. I guess it works with our 2 fire abilities, right? It lets our golem stay up for longer, and it lets our orb stay up for longer, so let's take duration. But the reason that I do not like the angle of viewing is because in most cases, or I should say in about half the cases, that button is going to spawn farther down the map, this direction being down, right? It's going to spawn more that way. And so what's going to happen is you can't really see where the chest is. You're going to have to come like straight down. And then if you don't find it, go over to the side. So a lot of times what happens is you end up like having to hit the button, you know, 2 or 3 times before you can actually find where the chest is, just because of the viewing angle. Because you can see, I mean, look at how much more distance I can see down the map towards the end versus closer to us, right? And so I've noticed that in a couple other games that do like this kind of angle, that it's just kind of hard to see what's going on. So that's why typically, and I'm going to take the ice golem here, I think. Yeah, just to have more summons. We completed a set. I don't know what that means though. Okay, so I'm actually going to pick up this freezing turnip. So the turnips here, they spawn every once in a while. You grab it, you pick up the rope, which then drops the turnip, and then when you grab the turnip, it freezes everybody. You're going to have to pick up some attack speed or something here. Attack damage is quite good. Damage from using all abilities. That seems absurd. We are definitely going to take that. And if I haven't mentioned it yet, getting health from these little bushes. So we got to harvest berries from there, and then we get some health back. I do feel like, though, that when you grab the turnip, I feel like when you pull it out, that's when it should activate. And that kind of leads me into the point I wanted to make about some characters being just strictly better than others. Clearing speed is, in my experience playing, I've played 3 different characters at this point. Clearing speed can kind of be an issue. So, for example, there is one character that I'll show off here after we do this run, where all his attacks are, they're directed completely randomly, and they're also not strong either. So not only can you not aim the attacks, but even if they do hit where you want them to, they don't do all that much damage. And so what ends up happening is you just have this massive pack behind you that you just can't kill because half the time he's shooting projectiles in front of him. And so, like, that's one of those cases where, like, you just have an enemy that's just, I mean, we're just going to do 36% damage to everything rather than just big damage to the golem. And so, similarly, you know, you have the frost turnip where you need to pull it out of the ground, but what happens is first of all, it slows you down, right? So it's going to give time to the horde behind you to kind of group up. So then you pull the turnip out of the ground, but then you still have to go back and pick it up. Well, by the time you pick it up, the horde is probably by the turnip anyway. So you're almost kind of like picking up the turnip to set it up for like 30 seconds down the line. I'm going to take more max HP. I'm going to go for HP regen, I think. So I feel like when you pull out the turnip, because it's slowing you down and making you more vulnerable to enemies, I feel like it should just automatically give it to you. Okay, so here we're going to go ahead and change a card. So we can spend a token to just reroll 1 card. I'm going to take the Ice Golem here. I don't understand why you would want to pay 4 tokens to skip when you could just pay 1 to flip 1 card. The only thing that I can think of why you would want... No, it doesn't even make sense. I was going to say maybe because the next time you get two picks, but then you could just go change, and that's 3. So I don't understand this button at all. Now, I think one thing that could drastically change, going back to a previous point here about the angle of vision, right? How basically anything closer to you as the literal player sitting in the chair, like using the controls, I think what would make it easier if there was a mini-map. I feel like having a mini-map, obviously it would have to be a long vertical mini-map, but I think that would be insanely helpful, especially with how big this map is, right? And trying to keep track of like, oh, a bubble appeared, and it's like, where, right? The map is pretty large, so let's actually go all the way back to this side of the map just to show you how long the map is. Okay, we're actually basically at the end of the map. So I can see the bubble from here, right? It's right on the other side of the middle skull. So we can actually kind of work our way back and pick that up. Get a little magnet, nice. Let's get some additional armor, I think. Pickup radius is kind of nice to get some added experience, but actually, I think I'm just going to reroll this crit hit chance a couple times. Fire damage. Heck yeah. Let's do it. What else do we need? I probably need more stone. I should probably work on... I keep, like, forgetting that I should be here mining. There are ways that you can increase your mining speed, too. Obviously, we saw that there was one pickup we could have grabbed that would increase our mining speed, which you do really need faster mining speed because you're going to get walked up on quite a bit. There's no dash in this game, so things like these worms that keep dashing at you, you really have to, like, preemptively dodge. Another thing that makes this game a little bit difficult right now is if there is a enrage mechanic on bosses, or elites, I should say, and I've found that quite often I will end up getting to the enrage mechanic, because I just can't hit the boss. A lot of times what will happen is the horde kind of surrounds them, and I just can't get to them, and that's kind of a feel-bad moment too. But again, that could be a couple factors. It could be the fact that some of the weapons just aren't balanced properly. It could be the fact that I just picked very poor weapons, and I just didn't know that they were very poor weapons. Right? It's an early playtest, so there's going to be balancing issues. So, like, right now, I have this chest here, but I have no idea where the other half is. I don't know that I'm a big fan of this whole, like, button mechanic, where you have to, like, find the button first, then you have to find the chest again, and, like look, this is way over here. I think it would be one thing, again, it would be one thing if there was a map for it, for a mini-map, but the way it's set up right now, I don't know that I'm a huge fan of it. So I just had to hit the F button about like 4 or 5 times for it to open. Now, it could just be that there's a delay. Kind of like if you went back to right before we started the game, after I hit confirm while we were inside. So like we go to the portal, enter the portal, you can select your difficulty map and all that, and then you hit confirm. It then like brings you back to the hub world for 2 or 3 seconds and then brings you into this game. There's a little bit of kind of a delay on everything. After you level up, there's a couple second delay before this screen picks up. Kind of like the area effect, but I like attack speed too. I think I'm just gonna go for attack speed. Just get more hits off. So it does feel not in terms of move. Ooh. Oh, we only have one thing with the average tag. Well, that's butt cheeks. All right, we'll go for max health. Yeah. So while like movement itself, it doesn't feel like there's any kind of delay. In any kind of like menu, like moving around the menus, it does feel like there's a little bit of that. All right, where are my summons? Where did they go? I need them right now. Okay, they're right here. They're right here. I guess I'll also point out, I don't know how I feel about when the enemies have dash mechanics and I don't. Because I feel like so like that, for example, I'm not sure how I was supposed to counterplay that other than preemptively not going in this direction. Which doesn't seem like a great play pattern to me. It just feels like if you're going to give the enemy a tool that can very quickly attack me, you also want to give the player some kind of tool to get out of those situations. Yeah, so see, now the enemies are furious, and I'm super low on health. Okay, at this point, I'm literally just going to run and try and find a... Okay, there is a bubble up here, which we can pick for a little bit of shield, and then I'm going to try and find a berry bush. But you can see right now, like, I don't really have any... I can't really judge how close enemies are to me on, you know, the side of the screen that's closest to me. So it's almost always better in these situations to go closer to the bottom of the screen, like, as close to... How am I gonna... Okay, positive z-axis is farther away from us, negative is closer, right? You basically want to be as close to the negative z-axis as you can possibly be. So that way you can see what's going on. Like, did I kill the boss? Like, did the boss die? It's possible that my summon... Oh, yeah, it's way, way the heck up there. Okay, while we're up here, we're going to... Okay, nope, we're not going to get any health. We don't have time to do that. Let's get some more health regen. Okay, let's go this way again, so that way we can see a little bit more about what's going on. I'm not even going to worry about the chest. Like, the chest, yeah, there's no way I'm getting that chest. Absolutely none. I would also say that I don't know... Well, to be fair, my weapons aren't that far leveled up, but I don't know, even in the past runs where I have leveled up my weapons, which, you know, you're going to have to kind of trust me on this one because, you know, obviously we're not seeing it here. Even when I do level them up, so for example here, our level 3 is just 15% to the ability's crit hit chance. It doesn't ever feel like I've gotten my weapons to a point where they're busted. I mean, look at the horde behind me. It never really feels like I'm getting the point where I am ahead of the curve on the horde. Yeah, so see, like now I pulled out the turnip and there's no possible way for me to get that without dying. Okay, so here, now that we've kind of kited the horde around, I'm going to try and get this chest. Right, like after clicking, ooh, just 12%. Yeah, we're just gonna grab the hit chance. You know, but just right after, so like after opening the chest, there's kind of a delay there, having to hit it a million times. Because the first time we got the chest in this run, it just didn't open. It said I didn't hit F, and it was like, no, I did. So you kind of have to spam it. But even then, there's kind of like a period of time where it doesn't directly open, which is, again, it's something that you're not going to know until you play the game for yourself. It's something that, like, I'm feeling as a player, that I can only tell you guys this is what I'm feeling. But, like, I just don't have a great way of... I really just don't have a great way of taking care of this horde. The horde has felt like, at a certain point, it has snowballed. Typically... Let me put it like this. Typically, in Bullet Heavens, I feel like there's always a point you reach where the horde is getting bigger and bigger, and it's getting hard. It gets hard for you to actually... So, see, like, the boss right now is in the middle. Like, I can't get to that. So I'm not exactly sure, like, how I'm supposed to deal. This is the point. This is one of the points I'm talking about, right? Where in Bullet Heavens, typically, you know, the horde is getting tougher and tougher and tougher to fight. But then you kind of hit this turning point where all of a sudden, let's see, what do I want? Damage to abilities with the area tag. Yes. Where all of a sudden it feels like, okay, now I've turned the corner and I'm starting to do more damage output than the horde is actually putting out. So far in playing, you know, 4 or 5 runs of this game, I haven't ever felt that switch. It has always been that the horde is summoning more than I can do damage. Now, I don't know if that's because maybe the weapons I picked just aren't well suited for this specific game, right? Sometimes there are weapons that, while they act the same between games, they're just balanced very differently. That could definitely be. It could be just that I'm picking the wrong power-ups. It's a lot of ability damage. Attack speed is great. Oh, game, hold out on me, Okay, we're good. Had a little stutter there, But you kind of see, like, right now, like, I mean, I'm literally right on the edge of the horde, like, trying to knock down the ranks until I can get to the boss. But there's more enemies coming into the area. Finally, I've been able to actually hit the boss. There are more enemies coming into the area than I can actually take care of. Yeah, and I literally can't just walk forward because there's more in front of me than I can actually take care of. But that's okay. Let's go ahead and close this out. Because again, it could very much just be that I need better gear. So let's take a look at gear here. Is there anything that does damage. That does damage, but I think a lot of this stuff is not going to be available because it's probably going to be in different areas that maybe isn't the playtest. I'm going to be honest, like, I'm just having trouble beating the bosses. Okay, so let me show you guys quickly this other character and show you kind of what I mean. So with this character, right, we had some trouble there with the third boss in actually getting the kills, but you can see that the damage, the damage we were doing was fairly consistent in where we were doing it, right? The hammer was attacking around us. We had the orbs that was directly attacking around us. The spawns, while they weren't doing damage, are very much around us. They were moving around and doing very consistent damage. So if I knew where a spawn was, I knew that's where it was dealing damage, right? That all makes sense? So with that being the case, let's take a look at Raccoon. Why can I just not swap here? Oh, I guess I can't swap here. Okay, so I guess I can see the characters, but I can't swap. So let's swap to Raccoon. So Raccoon has rapid projectiles in a random direction. All right, let's take a look at how this works. So for example, what I was saying about the delay, right? So as soon as I hit enter to start, so enter, there's like 2 to 4 seconds there where just like nothing happens. And the first couple times I did it, I was like, is the game actually like working right now? So you can see right now, there's enemies literally in my face and there's nothing I can do about it, right? This isn't like a weapon that's random and then I can turn on like manual aim and it fires exactly where I want to go. I'll even get the second one. This is a weapon that you really have to pray with. And so this is kind of an issue that I was finding with some of the weapons, is that some of them are just like crazily unbalanced compared to the others. Or even maybe not unbalanced. Maybe that's not even the correct word. They're just not as good. I mean, this guy is right in front of my face and it took me a couple seconds to actually hit him. You know, it's one thing. It's one thing for, like, you know, you've heard me complain in other bullet heavens where it's like, oh my god, are you gonna actually shoot this guy? But it's because the weapons are auto-targeting enemies like behind me or to the side of me. It's still auto-targeting weapons. It's just not the one that I want the game to hit. In this case, it's just not hitting enemies. So I don't really understand like why this weapon is necessarily good. Maybe if it had crazy pierce on it, that would be interesting. So this is another scatter weapon. So we're going to go, I guess, with that. So the whole tag system, I like the tag system. I do. This is something that, like, I had a lot of fun with Soulstone Survivors when I was playing that, because there was a lot of different ways to build your character, right? It wasn't all about, well, we have accurate. I guess we'll go with that. You know, it wasn't always about like, okay, we're just going to do, and see, I'm going to go with scatter. I'm just going to go with all scatter just to see kind of like what a scatter build does. You know, because then it's not like you have to go for like an all fire build or, like an all lightning build. It was like, okay, well, I have a lightning projectile and I have fire melee. Well, I'm going to go for a melee build, so I'm going to have like an all elemental build. So then you can run, you know, different kind of bonuses. Ability's area of effect, is that at all going to even work on our scatter shots? I don't think so. It says we will. So, for example, there I promise you, I was smashing F and it literally just like didn't open. So sometimes it just feels like there's too much of a delay. Well, there's projectile penetration, so that is something that I wanted, so we'll give it a shot and see if that works. Here's some more attack speed. You know, it's gonna be real embarrassing if this is the build that wins. Don't think it will. We haven't seen a boss yet, so I think that's gonna be the turning point. Once a boss actually shows up. But that being said, you know, I've talked about a couple of the problems that I've faced so far with this one. So let's talk about the things that I do like. I do like the resource gathering. You know, there's a reason that Deep Rock Galactic Survivors is so popular. And I think that it's, you know, it's fun, right? People have been playing Minecraft since I was in like middle school, high school. You know, resource gathering is kind of a staple when it comes to gaming nowadays, and it feels like resource gathering doesn't, at least I haven't seen many bullet heavens that go into the resource gathering. I would like to, okay, apparently I can't mine that tree. I would like to see more resource gathering bullet heavens. If you guys know of any like really good ones besides Deep Rock Galactic Survivors, which I should probably play more of, let me know of any ones you know. But this one, right now, what you can actually spend your resources on is pretty minimal. So depending on what actually gets put into the game that you can spend your resources on, will determine how good the system actually is, I think. And so another thing too, when it comes to, I'm going kind of in the negative aspect now. When it comes to like weapon damage and how good weapons are, I feel like the weapons just need to get a little bit better quicker, because it can be kind of difficult to actually mine if your weapons aren't strong enough, because you only really have time to get 1 or 2 hits off. Now maybe that comes to actually picking up some mining speed, but like it's one of those things where I don't want to take mining speed because then my damage isn't good, and if my damage isn't good, then it doesn't really matter if my mining speed is good. That being said, this build is actually doing better than the other builds. Let's go for additional experience. +1 projectile, sure. Yeah, this build is actually doing better than the other one. So maybe hold that previous thought. I don't know. Maybe the minions were just really bad. Maybe the summons were just awful. Because I feel like the hammer would be good. But I guess we do have Pierce with this one, and Pierce is maybe what I was missing. Right? Like, maybe you just need Pierce with this ability, and then it's actually good. And see, that's the thing, too. So that's... I will admit, that is one of the hard things when trying a bunch of different games, is that there's going to be things that slip by. Just because of the fact that, like, for one, you know, it's quite difficult to talk and play at the same time. But there's going to be different interactions that I just don't have time to, like, test everything and figure out, like, what actually makes things good. So a lot of the critiques I make are going to be kind of more surface level, and for you guys to figure out, you know, within half an hour to an hour, is the game actually worth your time to actually give a further shot and see if it's worth playing for, you know, longer than half an hour or an hour. Let's go for ability damage. And so there's going to be certain things like that where, because like we're going to have to see, we're going to have to get to the point where we were before, about around the 3rd elite, to see how this actually stacks up. But so far, like, the horde is much smaller than it was last time. So things like that can happen where I have a preconceived notion of what I think the game is like, and then all of a sudden I just try to build another build, and it's like, oh, okay, well, maybe I was completely wrong before. But I think what's important to note is, like, what changes the build. And so it's possible that I just didn't have Pierce last time, and it looks like the 5th and final level of the ice, whatever the weapon's called, Sarbacan, has piercing power. And so it's possible that because I didn't get piercing power as one of these power-ups before, that I just didn't have any piercing power, and it was significantly weaker. Because at the moment, it feels pretty good. chest spawned. Oh, okay, so let's go grab that because I see the button. I mean, I'm going to take 20% on everything rather than 16, or what was it, 16% on some things. You can also open up requests on the side here, which kind of weirdly, so I've hit F once, hit F twice. Okay, so it looks like you have to hit F twice to open it. Once is not enough, which is a little weird. Let's grab the attack speed. Okay, it looks like we got another boss on us now, or will be in a second here. Now, what I do think is an advantage of this build, obviously, is that I can stay farther away from enemies, whereas the other one I had to be right up close to them, which, of course, could pose challenges of its own. So, obviously, now all the dashing, quote-unquote, that I would need to do in the previous build, obviously, I don't need to do any of that in this one, because I can stay far enough away before the dashing would even become relevant. Here I'm definitely going to take the mining speed, for sure. There's nothing else there. Oh, you know what? Let's just bring the boss this way. We can go ahead, grab the button, and grab the chest. There's a token down there that we got to find, too. Yeah, so you definitely got to tap it twice. Okay, so let's go for attack speed. Now, one other system that I kind of want to talk about, and I don't have a, like, 100% solid opinion on this, but it's an observation that I'm going to make from Asgard's Fall. And that is the fact that meta progression is tied to beating bosses. While I understand why you do it, right? In most games, progression is tied behind fighting bosses. One thing that I noticed from my time in Asgard's Fall was that if you played the game and didn't beat the boss, then you were basically spending your time almost doing nothing. Now, with this game, you have the advantage that you're actively mining resources, and those resources you can bring back and use to make more gear. So your progression isn't strictly tied to meta progression and defeating bosses, where in Asgard's Fall it was before they made a change. So I guess that is kind of a point of levity, in that you don't have to 100% rely on defeating bosses for meta progression. Obviously, if you're having trouble beating the mini bosses, then you're going to have some trouble getting that stat-based meta progression. So I guess my feelings are that now that I've kind of talked it out, I kind of am more okay with it, because there is a different point of progression that does not rely on you killing mini bosses, right? If that was the only way to progress and you were having trouble getting through the first one, then it would just be an awful experience, right? Because if you couldn't get stronger, but you were having trouble killing the mini boss, and there was just like, you know, there was just really no way for you to progress, right? If you're having trouble killing the mini bosses, but you can't kill the mini bosses to get the power-ups, then it's like, what are you going to do? Just keep pounding your head against the wall? So, because this game has a secondary progression system, I think that kind of evens it out, and I'm actually okay with it. Good thing we talked it out. Way to go, guys. Way to go. You do you. Okay, where the frick is the button? Way the heck over here. See, this is one of the reasons why I would like to see a mini-map, because like it's sometimes hard to see where the button is. But again, I think if a chest spawned, it should just be a chest. I'm not really sure I understand why there's this whole button system other than just adding another mechanic to the game. Which I can understand, but you need to let your chests open when you hit F. Like, I need to be able to open them. Alright, another mini-boss. Let's see how easy this one is. Now that my complete and utter, like, my entire idea of this game's weapon system has completely flipped just based off this one run. I mean, we're still not doing a lot of damage. We're still doing some damage, but not a whole lot. Okay, I mean, it's proving itself to be better. So 20 minutes ago, me needs to shut his mouth. This weapon is, I guess this weapon is not as bad as I originally thought it was. Again, it might just be tied to piercing power. Okay, yeah, let's keep taking crit chance. I don't want to try and out-survive this last boss. I just want to kill him and get him dead. Well, that was a little weird. The sound effect wasn't tied to the actual action of mining. Where's this? Oh, it's up here. Okay. I'm gonna get the bubble first. Yeah, so like that time, like I spammed F, it didn't even open. So the chest system needs a little bit of a rework, needs a little bit of a retune. So that way you can actually open the chest when you get to it. Again, I don't even know if it makes sense to have this kind of system where you have to find the button and then find the chest. Because, like, ideally, like, a lot of this time I've obviously not spent mining. I've kind of been just kind of collecting experience, leveling up, getting stronger, kind of testing to see if the weapons would actually be good if you put some stats into them. Otherwise, like, I mean, you could just spend all your time mining and you don't, because of all the mining that's available, you really don't need another minigame when it comes to, like, chests. I suppose you can, like, it's kind of one of those, like, you gotta weigh the benefits and the, what's the opposite of benefit? I don't know. Well, you gotta weigh the pros and cons, right? Of either mining a bunch or going and grabbing chests. Right, because if they made it so that the chest you could just open willy-nilly, I guess the argument is then it doesn't take as much time away from actually mining resources. So it is technically a decision you have to make. Do you want to spend time getting chests or mining resources? Although it's a pretty small decision. All right, forest boss. I'm assuming this is Leshy. That was one of the quests I had to do. But we'll see if I can beat this boss. I've gotten to this boss before. I just remember him being difficult. But we'll see. That might have been more about the weapon I had chosen. Or the weapons that I had chose. Yeah, so I guess he gets sleepy. I'm not sure I understand why this is saying everything gets affected by the duration. I think just everything has a duration tag on it. Don't need health. I guess I'll take the evasion. Maybe I was just like half asleep when I played this last time. I remember the boss being harder than this. Like, can I just sit here in the middle? Yeah, this is very confusing to me. This is making me question, like, everything that I thought of when I played this before. This is just just this weapon is these weapons that I picked this time, it's just it's a 180 experience, even from the run we did before. So, I guess what the takeaway could be then, because I always want to try and take away something positive from... Oh, okay, hang on. I always want to try and take away something, some kind of positive experience, right? You always want to try and learn something from your experience doing something. I suppose what the experience could have taught us... Hold up, let's actually kill the boss first before I try and talk shit about him. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, it's pretty crazy. It's pretty crazy. So, there's a couple things that we could potentially take from that. One is that the weapons that I thought were very bad before are actually pretty decent. It's just that they're heavily balanced around piercing, and they only really get good if you get piercing. The other being maybe the minions are not as good as I initially thought they were, or just the area weapons are not as good as I thought they were. Yeah, because that was like a completely different experience. So in the playlist, does that open up any other locations? It does not. Okay, or it opens up hard difficulty. Okay, but it doesn't open up a different location. Yeah, so it looks like you're probably going to be limited to certain types of armor right now in the playtest, because you just can't get the others. Oh, I tried with Wolf too, but Wolf is kind of the same thing, right? A slow, powerful weapon that deals damage around the character, but you just swing, you cut near the nearest enemy. What I did think, though, I do think that it's a little bit too difficult right now to actually level up your abilities. I think the weapon upgrades come far too slow. That being said, it didn't really feel like... I don't know. I don't know if it felt like the weapons were getting strong enough as I leveled them up. It felt like more power was definitely just coming from upgrading your stats, right? Like crit chance, crit damage. Especially when you get like attack of all one tag, then it's just like, well, why would I take an upgrade one weapon when I can just, take damage across the board? Now, I don't think there's any kind of evolution system or anything that when you max out a weapon, right? We did max out the ice version of the weapon that we have in our hand right now. and we didn't get any kind of upgrade for it. So that being the case, it doesn't seem like there's a huge reason to get your weapons to maximum right now. So that point is kind of moot, because then you might as well just get more, you know, crit damage, attack speed, all that kind of stuff, because it's just going to carry over to all of your weapons versus just the one that you're leveling up. So that system is kind of strange-ish. I mean, I get it, because if you're upgrading one specific weapon, you're getting a higher potency upgrade, but that wasn't even necessarily always the case. Because when we leveled up the Fire Giant, did we get like a 15% damage boost? But then later on, we got like a 20% all your abilities boost. So that doesn't even seem like closely balanced, unless I'm misremembering what the upgrades actually were, which is possible. Especially since my memory is fairly bad, but I'm pretty sure I remember those numbers accurately. Yeah, so other than that, like, I like the general gameplay experience. I like the fact that you're going in, mining resources to then use to either upgrade your gear, get new characters. I'm hoping for more features to actually use your collectibles for, than just like the characters and gear, because otherwise the grind is going to be pretty short. I like the look of this game a lot. I think it looks quite a bit different from kind of anything else that I've seen recently. Obviously, we've seen the 2.5D, but just this kind of art style. I do think the game needs some kind of mini-map, or you need something like a visual indicator around the corner of your screen to show like what direction you need to go for map objectives. Although that seems like it would be a bit cluttered, so I would just really like to see a mini-map. I think that would be the best solution. Because again, with this viewing angle, it's tough to see anything in this direction, right? How far away? I have to be this far away to see the tree, which is not that far, versus in the other direction. You know, I can see the tree. I can see the other side of the map from this side, right? Versus if I'm all the way at the top, can I even see the base of this portal? Okay, so I can't see the base of this portal, but I can't see the feet of the fox, right? So how many steps is that? It's like 1, 2, 3. That's a bad way to do steps. Anyway, you get what I'm saying. You get what I'm saying, right? Vision is very much hindered from this side of the map. Or I should say from this side of the map, but looking this way, right? But yeah, other than that, guys, I think it's an interesting one. Definitely going to keep my eye on it. I think that there's definitely a lot of good here. Let me know what you think down below in the comment section, and like I said before, if you want to check out the playtest, which you can get into super easy. As soon as I hit it, I was accepted in. We'll link to that down below in the description. But guys, that's going to do it for us today. Thank you so much for watching. If you did enjoy, would you kindly smash that like button, subscribe to the channel for more roguelite action. I've been Ganyonz. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you all in the next one.